So just what is Star Citizen, and what state is it in today? Today I'll be sharing with you what a new player can expect in Star Citizen if their recent hype over Squadron 42 and the Star engine has brought them into the game, or they're just curious about it. I will also lightly touch on some plans for the future while explaining things. A lot of people probably saw Asmongold and Dr. Disrespect and other creators reacting to the Squadron 42 and the Star engine demos. After seeing reactions from chat and some snarky trolls or genuinely uninformed comments on the creator's part, not much was mentioned about Star Citizen today or where it's going to go. I was thinking that it isn't giving it the respect or fair chance that it deserves, and I wanted to kind of bridge the gap between people wowed at something coming eventually in the future and what so many fans who have played and of course funded love also. Some also hate to love it. This is the first of 10 videos I have planned for any new player to get into Star Citizen that demystifies the game and gets right down to the reason most of us play any game: the fun. In these videos, you will not hear me complaining about the development and state of the game, as I just want to focus on how new players can jump in and have fun like so many of us do. Some daily, some all day. Okay, that was me, my first week, and maybe a bit more as well. Once I get through the first 10 introductory videos, I plan to share some of my game sessions, either as a solo, with friends, or with org mates. With all of that out of the way, let's get to Star Citizen. For this next part, I'm going to go over what Star Citizen is like today. While I do this, I included unedited videos from some play sessions I have had since I started. You will be able to see the game for what it is, without editing and cutting out the bumps and bruises. I will do that for some videos in the future, but my session plays will be warts and all. Star Citizen is currently in an alpha state, version 3.21.0, as of this recording. An alpha typically comes before the beta of a game and isn't usually public. Next comes the beta and then the full release. So today we're not even in beta level territory yet, and it's obvious when you play. So if you're looking at any of the videos going on in the background throughout this video, I'm sure you're going to catch a few bugs and jankiness. I'll go into more detail and show off some of those in future videos. It still has a lot to grind, like any game should. There's time sinks for a solo player, duos, large groups, and even massive organizations, which are collections of players, guilds from other games. So despite the early stages, it still is very playable. Just what are some of the issues players can expect when hopping in? And are you patient enough to play through them despite the fun the game brings? Let's go over some of them in detail. 30Ks. A 30K or 30000 error code is when the server crashes. Before, you would lose all of your time when these happened, but there is now a protection system in place, meaning no more losing hours of time after salvaging, mining, or just adventuring and collecting loot with your friends or solo. Now your ship will spawn at your home city and have everything on board that you had before the crash, but everybody on the server gets booted. This will happen multiple times, and sometimes it won't happen at all. A crash to desktop will bring you right back to where you were when it happened. Last weekend, my pilot crashed as we were in the middle of a dogfight and I was in the turret, and he got back under a minute and we survived the fight. No problem at all. So that's better than him going back to his home, no armor, no equipment, his ship's in storage while I'm stuck in a turret. So he was able to get right back in. I've heard some people can't even log into the game after some patches get in. It hasn't happened to me or anyone I know yet, so I can't provide the specifics, but it has happened before. Support can sometimes help, but it can mean waiting until the next patch most times. Playing the game has a lot of daily glitches, bugs, and more that players just get used to, as they aren't so game ruining as the ones that I previously mentioned. Things like your ship can explode for a multitude of reasons, not all relating to combat or sudden stops into an object. Invisible asteroids, invisible unknown objects outside of your hangar, a much smaller ship ramming your large ship in a very unimportant spot, not properly landing and moving around too much to cause damage. I can go on. Your ship will blow up at times you don't expect, and it can be at the absolutely worst time. It's always fun when you get to your target to fight and find out one of your guns isn't firing. How about none of them are firing? That happened to me last night. Right now, one of the medium ships, the Drake Cutlass Black, can only be damaged and destroyed from the front. A lot of NPCs fly that ship, so it has become one of the slowest ships to down this recent patch, whereas it shouldn't really be that much of a challenge for most pilots and ships in this game. Missiles can be fired and just disappear or never hit their target, or you can be hit by missiles and not even know you were locked on. Your ship can leave you behind as you quantum jump, meaning you have to restart and end up back at your imprinted medical facility. So when you die, you end up back at that facility. It's the same solution after you exit the menu and hop back in. Anything you had on that ship is gone. So hopefully, if you had a friend that didn't get dropped off, you'll be safe, but most of the times, everybody gets thrown from the ship when this happens. Trying to target things on the star map, the in-game map we use to travel places in our ship, can always be a pain. You will click on things and it won't register. You can click and it will register, but you can't choose it as a jump location. Sometimes double-clicking the planet or closest large body object is a workaround, but sometimes it isn't. A brand new star map is coming after it was shown at SitCon, and all of these issues, and maybe some new ones, will come, but the old ones will be gone. But it is a big pain point today for many Star Citizen fans. Targeting during combat can sometimes have issues, where your target will suddenly turn friendly, or friends will turn hostile, even though they usually accidentally shot, bumped, or killed someone in their ship and didn't notice. Your ship can also target something multiple times further than you are supposed to be able to, but I think just in PCs. The other day I caught a target, I got a notification saying a target is within my range and it was 30 kilometers away. Usually that's about 3 kilometers, so 10 times the range is good, but not intended. You can claim, or spawn, your ship at a terminal and it will fall through the planet. I've heard it's not all ships, but I have had it happen with more than one ship so far. Or you can get to the hangar and your ship just isn't there until you maybe spin around or run into a corner and give it time to load in. Sometimes you do have to go back to the lobby, store the ship, call it back, head back to that hangar, and it will be there. It should be there. Your ship can spawn in brand new, looking physically damaged on the outside, but be full health functionally. The opposite can also happen, as this weekend, right after getting out of a quantum jump, my ship was flying like it had lost an engine. That's not supposed to happen. If you try to jump to your friends on the opposite side of a planet or large body object that is below you, you can fly straight into the planet and blow up. It used to make you invincible, but for some reason last weekend that didn't happen when a ship full of maybe 13 of us crashed into the planet and we all died. A few ships' key functions don't work or not properly yet. The refueling ship can only refuel certain ships. The big salvage ship can't munch ship parts. No ships with tractor beams have them, as they aren't in yet, but I believe they are coming by the end of this year. Maybe next month or this month. Bounty hunting ships are supposed to have pods for prisoners, but the whole gameplay isn't even in, meaning they haven't worked on the pods, so they are just there taking up space in your ship. Some ships have elevators or other key features that don't and haven't worked for a while. One of the new ships I bought has a weird ladder glitch when you walk up and down the ladder, but I'll get into that later. And that's just ships. Recently, there is a no head bug where your character has no head. You'll see a blue reticle on the screen and won't be able to change your camera to third person, which is the giveaway that it has happened. Exiting the menu and logging back in has always fixed it for me, but I did see someone mention that you should go to character creation, make a new character, and that should fix things, but again, I've never needed to do that. Inventories can lag, which is something that affects a lot of the game. Player inventory, meaning you will equip and unequip things, then they will snap back to inventory like you never did it. This is very dangerous with helmets when you are about to go out to space. Imagine that with ammo, medical equipment, hacking equipment. Not double checking when the server is lagging can cause issues very soon. Changing servers can fix this, or waiting for the inevitable 30K. You can get stuck in very weird locations, but then also fall or clip through objects and ships. Most of these mean exiting to menu if you are alone. With friends though, there's usually a way to be saved. You can just die going down and upstairs. Always a classic. Ladders. How do they work? Very weird sometimes as your character will grab onto it to go up or down after you just exited. Maybe it is just a ship I have been using lately, but there are fixes coming to ladders soon that were mentioned at the most recent sitcon. Sometimes you don't get your money rewards for selling things. That can be devastating when it is a large amount of cargo, annoying when it is loot you don't need and you're just making space. Contracts may not update as quickly, so you'll accept one or more, and then they may finally show you did so, sometimes minutes later. When everything works, it's immediate, so it can get annoying when you click on it and it just waits and waits and waits. Contract markers can suddenly disappear at inopportune times. You could be 10-15 kilometers away at night, heading somewhere, and the marker will go away, and it won't come back until you're usually half a kilometer away from your target. So that can end up becoming a big search for a very, very small level contract. I'm probably missing more, but these are the ones that will happen to you or your friends more likely than not. With the problems out of the way, just what can a player do in Star Citizen today to have fun? Here are some of the contract types and some gameplay players can do today. bounty hunting, which is PvE dogfighting, with some contracts taking you to caves or bunkers to find a target, and even other players if they have a crime stat. Today, it's just kill the target, get your prize. In the future, you will be able to take your targets alive, handcuff them, or put them in a prisoner pod and take them to stations for processing. There's mercenary contracts, which vary depending on which planet you are near. You can be helping NPC security clear a base of hostiles, finding targets in outposts, seeking and destroying sentries in space, stopping raids in a tower in the clouds of a gas giant, and more. Delivery contracts will start you off with one package at a time, point A to point B. But as the player gains reputation, more packages will need to be picked up and delivered to different destinations. Good for solos and really good for groups. Racing contracts have you going through the different racetracks in the verse as players rank up. A lot of fun, but there is always a risk of dying. Salvaging contracts, which are relatively new, will have you using salvaging ships to scrape the hulls of destroyed ships for scrap, completion money, reputation, and right now the most important, high-end cargo. I have been doing these and it is possible to make multiple millions in a play session. It will be patched out. But for now, people patient enough for it are getting rich. While there are no contracts just yet, players can also mine and do cargo runs. Mining can be done on foot, in specific land vehicles, and in specific ships. People I have played with swear by this to get rich, but it has always bugged out and frustrated me personally. I haven't tried in months, so I should give it another go. Cargo runs will see players buying and loading their cargo ships with goods and using the best cargo lanes, which there are great tools out there for you space trekkers, to make big profits. Both of these should consider protection, as pirates know you're typically easy prey. Speaking of pirates, they do exist. While NPC pirates are target practice for dogfighting, players will try to take over your ship and take your cargo, instead of just blowing you up. Of course, there are murder hobo pirates as well, who just want to blow you up. Having armed protection on board, and as a wing, can change your fate with a ship loaded with millions in cargo. In the future, a lot is coming to agitate this whole aspect of the game. Ships will be able to port with others, letting ships made for breaching actually useful in the game. Ship captains will be able to lock specific doors they see from the helm and can remove the oxygen in a closed room. In a worst case scenario, they can turn off gravity, but that means for them and their crew as well, which won't be helpful when your ship is on fire. If you saw the Star Engine demo, you will see ship interiors can catch fire and get out of hand quickly. Crew will need to use a variety of tactics to put out and keep them out, then repair the ship, all while the captain is avoiding being downed and getting to a place to repair. These changes are all going to make large ship gameplay more dynamic, but pirates will have a lot more deterrence once they can stop a large ship and begin their attempt to board it. With all of this crime in the game, you can go to jail as well. Getting out means mining for minerals or killing people out of safe zones to steal their minerals, players and NPCs. You can also break out of prison but I will keep that as a surprise for new players. After that though, you will need to break into a high security port to hack your crime stat away. Always a good time. Now, for just a quick top of the head list of things I personally am excited about that were announced to come into Star Citizen within the year that will change the experience for all players, new and old. A new solar system called Pyro is coming, which will be so different from the system we have today, Stanton. Pyro is a system around a dying star, and no military presence or modern civilization exists there like it does in Stanton. Instead, gangs of pirates and people who prefer to live in the wilderness and outposts live there, and they will come with some big reputation and faction changes. It is almost 3 times bigger than Stanton, so not every ship can zip around like we do now. Players will need better quantum drives, bigger ships, refueling ships, and hope that your ship actually works with those refueling ships, or to make multiple stops to make it to the further reaches of Pyro. All while minding their faction and who they choose to grind that for. Making friends means making enemies, which means less places to get your job done. Of course, there will be pros and cons to those choices, but it is super exciting and something I didn't expect Star Citizen would do. The new planets look amazing, as do the outposts NPCs will live at, and hopefully players too someday. Outposts are also going to bring a lot of new gameplay mechanics, like stealth to get into and out of them undetected. So much is coming to Pyro that I will stop here or else I will keep going. The new UI, if it functions and doesn't just look great, is going to resolve so many problems, as there is just so much tied into it, even new gameplay with the maps that will be coming attached to it. The current inventory is clunky, with the new one not being shown yet, but the looting screens did give hope. The whole Moby Glass, which is the physical in-game object all players wear to access their menus, looks much better and a lot more functional. It includes a new star map and even local maps, making traveling so much easier. One gameplay mechanic tied to this is exploration, and also data selling on the side, as players can sell or share the map data they gathered while out exploring. So imagine finding a cave with some great hand mining, but you are a salvager and happen across it after your ship was downed. Go get saved, and one day sell that location to some miners, and you could make some nice money. A new character creator is coming with much better head options and hair, which will be much appreciated, as character creation today leave most people just clicking done to hurry up and get into the game and skip those steps. The sights on guns are more realistic, so you get proper zoom and distortion when looking through them, instead of the current faked way of putting a flat screen with a scoped texture on it in front of your face. The Star Engine is of course exciting, but the biggest features to help many people will be stability, ray tracing, and more to get higher frame rates. Server meshing, which will allow jumping from Stanton to Pyro, and to any future systems coming to the game, and there are more, without issue. More network stability, more players, and just so much more that I am not going to go into today. The future is going to be very bright, and hopefully we get the features promised within a year, just like they said we would. Before closing, I want to point new players to content creators I personally watch to get info and stay up to date when I may be away from the game at times. There are also creators who just make entertaining content worth watching, that always makes me sneak in a session here and there. Space Tomato. He talks a lot about the development of the game, and as an ex-game dev myself, I can sit and watch the process all day long. But I do struggle to get work done as the streams start right when my day starts. Also, I am in his org, Garden Interstellar Initiative, or GII for short, and always have people to play with, especially on weekends. Ollie43. If you want to see someone very enthusiastic about the game, besides when it does cost him time, Ollie43's videos will do the job. He likes to find content in the sandbox world of Star Citizen and is great at capturing some fun that isn't just the typical things players do in the game. I do the same thing most of the time, so that is why I love his content. Morphologist looks at the ships of Star Citizen from the POV of an architect. His high-quality ship overviews and commentary may cause you to look into ships you may have glossed over before. As a new player, you can get a lot of research on ships you want from here. Citizen Kate and Will. Despite the name, the videos are just Citizen Kate, who runs Skunkworks, a large, if not the largest, military sim org in the game. She has a lot of great stories of her and the org doing their thing, which can go from circling a planet on a hoverbike to 50 versus 50 battles over a key point of interest. All you War Sim and Star Wars fans can get your fix from her videos. Avenger 1 is big on PvP ship combat. He actually won a tournament at SitCon, 1 versus 2, with a broken stick. I'd say that gives him authority on the subject. He breaks down combat, gives advice on flying and fighting against ships, and also made great points on pirating and how to protect yourself from pirates. If you want to hop in Star Citizen and be the best combat pilot, I bet you will be getting your core skills from him. He also runs an org of similar-minded combat pilots called the Avenger Squad. Salty Mike, despite his name, gives very fair commentary on everything Star Citizen related. If you want breaking news with research and knowledge behind it instead of blind rumors, most likely it will be covered by Mike. It is often joked that he is getting paid by developers, to the point he was mentioned multiple times by them during CitizenCon, despite not even being there in person himself. Cozy Boy makes some well-made story-based videos in the world of Star Citizen. Just recently, he released an absolutely well-made video that looks like it is going to be an in-game version of The Mandalorian. The inspiration won't go unnoticed by fans of the show, but it has the Star Citizen settings and his own creative lore into it as well. Definitely inspired me to get my similar ideas out there to Star Citizen fans. Backspaced. Now imagine amazing music video style effects and motion graphics, all with Star Citizen footage, and you have backspaced. This may be a poor explanation for them, but the videos are just absolutely well made in my opinion, and you end up staying and watching. More people need to see their work for sure. And finally, Chachi Sanchez. Chachi did something big for me by sharing a new workaround for playing Star Citizen in VR with Vorpex. I have been spending time in his Discord community and he is very helpful at getting the word out and people into the verse in VR. You can find me in there with the same name, helping out to make sure you can get into VR and have fun as well. This was just a quick look into Star Citizen, some problems new players can expect and may experience, what they can do in the game, and some content creators to get more perspective and info on the game. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are 9 more videos in the series for new players getting into Star Citizen coming. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, and hit the notification to know when new videos come out. As of today, I don't have a schedule for releases, so you may miss the next video in the series or future ones. Also, if you are ready to jump into Star Citizen, you can use my referral code on the screen to get 5,000 UEC when the game releases, and depending on the time, sometimes a free ground vehicle. Right now, it is a hover quad, but it changes depending on the promotion. See you in the next video.